Common Sense 2. Ethical Dilemma of Separating the Church from the State. Before reading this letter, please study Federalist 10 extensively before reading. Otherwise, it will be difficult to follow along. In my first letter, I claimed that separation of church and state is an impossible task because of the laws proposed would be either unenforceable or uninterpretable. This one will discuss the ethical dilemma of banning church from state activities. Once you shift your paradigm to see that churches are, in fact, factions. Definitions. As we have stated previously, the church, or perceived as, a collection of people associated with the current Messiah, Jesus. Now, these people are part of a faction. The faction, defined by James Madison, a faction, I understand, a number of citizens, whether accounting to a majority or minority of the whole, who are united and actuated by some common impulse of passion or of interest, adverted to the rights of other citizens, or to the permanent and aggregated interests of the community. Madison, Federalist 10. I believe the church fits Madison's definition of a faction perfectly. Thus, the two words are interchangeable. Churches are factions. So when someone shouts separate church and state, they mean separate faction and state. Can we separate factions, churches, from the state? Let us flesh this thought out as well. If we perceive a faction, church, in the political sphere, we find that we cannot eliminate it without abolishing all factions. There are two methods of curing the mischief of factions, writes Madison. The one by removing its causes, the other by controlling its effects. Madison, Federalist 10. The conclusion you'll find, and so did Madison, is that removing the cause of the factions is a threat to liberty. Thus, it leaves us only with controlling the effects of factions. Or, as Madison concludes, the causes of factions cannot be removed, and that relief is only to be sought in the means of controlling its effects. When people want to remove churches, or church, from the political sector, they are trying to remove the causes that form the faction. As Madison notes, there are two methods of removing the causes of factions. The one, by destroying the liberty which is essential to its existence. The other, by giving to every citizen the same opinions, the same passions, and the same interests. The second one Madison mentions is the one that church separators are engaged in accomplishing. And it is impossible for everyone in a society to agree on everything. Madison notes this as well. As long as the reason of man continues fallible and he is at liberty to exercise it, different opinions will be formed. Humans will always want to exercise their opinions unless the liberty is taken away. Therefore, the only way to give everyone the same opinion is to take away liberties. Congratulations, you have created a dictatorship. Yet, even in a dictatorship, there are men exercising their opinions just more covertly. Therefore, the ethical dilemma presented in separating church, or more accurately, a faction, and state, also prevents us from moving forward with separation. Since the church is a type of faction, and we can only limit the effects of them instead of their cause, cease the proclamation. Separate church and state. For if you single out one faction, then you jeopardize liberty. One may argue it is not unethical, but it is unconstitutional. Oh, by no means, sir. For Madison wrote Federalist 10 to pass the Constitution. In fact, Madison calls the Constitution the solution to the faction problem. Therefore, the church, the faction, can exist with the state. In fact, banning the church, faction, from exercising its political right would be unconstitutional. Regards, the new Publius.